KKHT wants you to meet three of the classiest guys in real estate.
I am Chris Kelso, the maestro of mortgage.
I am Rob Cook, the godfather of real estate.
And I'm Joe Orsack, the king of credit swing. And together, we're
the Real Estate Rat Pack.
Much like us, real estate right now is smoking hot. So whether it's buying, selling, or owning, you need to check out the Real Estate Rat Pack.
They're here to take your calls and answer your questions live. Call now, 1-800-808-5548. And now, the Real Estate Rat Pack!
Yahoo!
Good morning, Chris. Yeah, well, it's not the same without Joe here. We
Yeah, I know, he's got to get
deal.
into it. I got to teach him the whole new shout-out that we do in the mornings now. So.
And, we won't have him next week either. So.
I know. 3 weeks with no Joe Orsack, but as they say,
the show must go on.
That
Absolutely.
is correct. And so we are here to make that happen. We have a great panel today. One of the things that we've talked about a lot is we always bring in experts to talk about their respective aspects in the field. We have Reese Dunn. We've got Michael Mengden. I hope I pronounced that correct here in a minute. And then we also have Rich Stone with Bernstein Realty. And then you and me, respectively speaking.
Oh, of course. And you know what I failed to do this month?
What?
Normally I give the Houston Association of Realtors
that
update,
is correct.
And I did not. But again, 33 straight months, increased sales.
Increased sales. I don't know where all these homes are going.
We don't have enough of them. And this is where we beg and plead for, please put your home on the market because we need listings out there. And so, but we sold 4,765 single-family homes. And it's still a 2.6 month supply as opposed to a 3.6.
2.6 month of supply.
Which is basically we're out of business. A healthy market is about 6 months.
Right.
That's a healthy market. It's neither a buyer nor seller's market. But when you get to 2.6, and we're going to be talking about this later on as we talk about investing and purchasing in Houston, Texas, what that looks like when you go to make an offer on a property today. So the average single price went up. The average home in Houston now is $247,000. And the median price, which means half sold above, half sold below,
right,
is $181,500.
Wow.
Now, if you go back just 2 years,
yeah,
the median price is about $155,
right,
and the average price is about $224. So we're seeing about a clear 10-11% increase in values of homes.
Which is why FHA actually increased their minimum loan amount nowadays. So $295,550 versus last year $271,550. So you're looking at almost a $24,000 loan difference that they upped it. And why? Because of what's going on in Houston.
And we're going to ask our experts, is this a good time to put their homes on the market? Because they know.
That is correct.
They are, the street warriors and stuff, and that's why I always like to have the people that are active in the business on the show.
Well, I thoroughly agree. I can tell you just from a purpose of my side, we take right now more loan applicants in than what are able to actually find homes right now. I mean, we have loan applications sitting in our system ready to purchase a property, and they can't find what they want.
Maybe wonder where I'm going with this thing. It's a segue to our first guest, which is Mike Mengden. Even though in 2008 we had a 25% increase in rentals, and it has gone up exponentially since then, this last month, year over year, we have a 19% increase in rental. So what that means to us is that there's people out there who are investing and leasing out, and of course that requires often a management company.
That is correct.
Now, Mike Mengden is my go-to guy when it comes to management. Anytime I have a management question or a leasing question, it's Mike. Tell me about this. Mike, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you doing?
Doing great this morning. And Mike actually teaches a class on leasing. He teaches at Houston Association of Realtors. And I took the class, and I actually learned something. The Godfather actually learned something.
The Godfather learned something.
And so so tell me what you're seeing out there from your investors
Actually, let us know who you're with first.
It's his company.
I think the name, though, is great. I think the name on there is Terra Residential Services. I love it because Terra, obviously in Latin, means land. So that is incredible.
Yeah, everything goes back to the land. But I'm the broker president of Terra Residential Services. We've been open since 1991, and we are strictly a residential single-family property management company and investment company. We buy and sell investments for our investor clients. We don't sell in the regular open market. So.
Now how's that market looking right now?
Investors, not so much. The investors are kind of backed off because the prices in Houston are getting higher. And the inventory is just low. With the low supply, you're not seeing the numbers of investors that were really hitting a few years ago coming in and just buying up tons of properties, it's harder and harder to find that good deal. And, investor, they're always looking for a good deal. And so trying to find that good deal has been getting harder and harder.
Well, market is a good deal now, by the way.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Market price is a good deal because next year you're going to go, we know houses went up again another 10%, and I didn't buy last year. So it's always that way.
Oh, it's been that way. And we've got a lot of people coming in. We have what we call the reluctant landlords that came into the management business a few years ago when the market wasn't so good.
Right.
And they said, okay, now is not the time to sell. And so they started leasing their homes. Well, those homes are now coming off the leasing market because a lot of those guys have decided that the market is so good for sales that when it's time to renew the tenant, they've said, no, we're not going to renew this tenant. We're going to go ahead and put it back on the market for sale. So we're seeing our supply of available rentals even go lower, which is really tightening up the rental market. It's helping the sales market a little bit because you're getting more houses to buy, but the leasing market is really getting tight.
Mike, what have you seen rentals go up to, percentage-wise, from this year to or last year to this year?
Oh, we're raising rents 5 and 10% routinely. I mean,
Wow. Year-over-year.
Normally when we're looking in the MLS to run comps for a new listing, whatever the comps
And when
say,
it says
we're
comps,
taking
he means comparables.
Yeah, the comparables. We're looking for what other homes in the subdivision have listed for. We're looking at that, and we're in many cases we're saying, okay, here's what it comps out at, and we're throwing 10% on top of that, and we still get multiple offers in a few days.
Are you getting offers over the list asking prices?
Every once in a while, not as much in the market that I'm dealing with. I've talked to some other people that work in the real high end market inside the loop. Some of the $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 rentals, which is typically not the typical rental market, but it's becoming that. Those sometimes are getting some above list.
And I see in that 4,000 or 5,000, usually that oil exec transferee comes in, and of
Lots
course
of
part of their
those.
package is
Yes.
we're not going to have you buy a house because we don't know how long you're going to stay here, so we want you to lease something. And they say, you know what? Well, I've got my family, I want a pool, and I want to be out in Katy or Woodlands.
Yeah, that is much more. Our typical rental used to be in the $1,100 to $1,200 rental range. That was our average rent before. Well, and now it's getting up to 14 and 15 because we're seeing so many of the high end homes that used to not be rentals now turning into rentals. So we're seeing a lot of that, a lot of expats leaving, and then other people coming into Houston. Houston's just growing by leaps and bounds. So
Chris, you're perkling with
really
a
good.
question over there.
Yeah, no, one of the things I was going to ask you, one of the things I've seen here personally over the past couple of years is the investor market sort of changed, where it used to be, as you mentioned, investors coming in from other cities, other states, other counties, other countries buying. What I'm seeing a lot more is individuals who know the local market, individuals who live and work and happen to know what's going on their street. And they're saying, you know what, I am interested in getting into Are you seeing a little bit of that from a management perspective?
We're seeing some of that. In fact, we signed a management agreement a month ago with a guy that bought the house next door to the house he lives in, which creates a whole different issue for the management company.
Well, I talked to the owner, my neighbor.
Yeah. So it's one of those you kind of have to tread lightly. But yeah, we're seeing a lot more of local. 10 years ago it was all California people coming over here.
Right.
And now you're seeing a lot more people locally that are calling us saying, hey, I'm thinking about investing in real estate.
Talk about the accidental manager. And what I mean by accidental manager is that, an agent sold a client a home in 2007, 2008. They lost their job. They got transferred out. They didn't want to sell their home. And so they said, oh, could you watch this house for me? And I'm seeing a lot of that out there. Are you experiencing that
there's
as well?
a ton of it out there. And the agents are thinking, okay, it's management, so it's easy money. I can make a few bucks. I can take care of my listing. And then sooner or later, when that client wants to sell again, then I'm going to get the listing back. The problem we're seeing is that those guys haven't had the education or the experience, and a lot of them end up getting in trouble.
Yeah,
so it's a problem.
Yeah, we've had to have that conversation with our agents. We have now we're about 500 agents now. We just acquired 2 new offices in another state, actually. But what we're seeing is that we're telling agents they can't do management because there's some rules and guidelines that they are not following. You have to be able to set up trust accounts. You have to be a broker to set up a company and things like that. So are you experiencing people out there who are floundering and you end up getting that client?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of companies doing exactly what you said. The broker has decided we're not going to have a bunch of little part-time managers running around doing this. It's not good for the company. And so they end up coming to us, and we take those clients and take care of them for the management, and then the agent gets the listing back.
I will tell you, under Texas Real Estate Commission, 75% of the claims for the recovery fund. And the recovery fund is what we pay in our license. So if the consumer does not collect from the broker who erred, they collect from the recovery fund, and we just about exhausted our recovery fund because of commingling of funds, management. It's about 75% of it's about leasing and management.
Yeah, it's over 2/3 of the complaints are leasing and management, and when you take the real estate market as a whole, that is a huge number. And you're right. The recoveries are not $2,000 and $3,000 and $4,000. I've seen $50,000, $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 claims against the recovery fund for somebody just doing something wrong.
Well, you and I were in the winter meeting up in Austin for the Texas Association of Realtors. I remember that Avis Wukash, who's the chairman of the TREC commissioners, had said that they thought they were out of money, but they found $1 million somewhere, so they didn't have to come back to us further. But when you when you exhaust the recovery fund, we're talking substantial sums, and we're talking about billions of dollars that have to be collected and stuff like that. So
no, it's a huge amount, huge problem.
So I guess the question, we have listeners out there who probably have properties and they're attempting to manage them themselves. Tell me why they would call you to manage it for them.
Because we've got the systems in place to handle it. I tell people all the time, you can go out and manage 3 or 4 houses, and that is harder than a property manager taking care of 100, because we've got the systems in place. We know the rules, we know the laws, we know what it takes to get the vendor out there to fix something. We know what it takes to what the rules are in that aspect of it. How to find a good tenant, how to put the tenant in place, take care of them while they're there, and all that kind of stuff.
How to take a tenant out of the place.
How to take a tenant out of the place, yes.
Which is a really sticky wicket, and the laws changed again this year.
Yep.
I know that the small claims courts and have combined, and so things should be faster nowadays.
The law was written that they should be faster, but it takes the judges and the constables a little while to get used to it. So unfortunately, at the moment, in many cases, it's taking a couple of weeks longer than it used to. But it'll iron out after a while.
And correct me if I'm wrong on this, and what I find with people who are managing properties themselves, they build a relationship with their tenant, which is all well and good. But when it comes time for renewal, they just let it renew, or they just let it go month to month, and they don't raise the rents. And here they're missing an opportunity, because you're looking at the market and you're going, this needs to go up 10%. You need to tell your tenant it's coming up. And they don't do it.
No, one of the biggest things a property manager can do is take the emotion out of it, because it's a business. We run it like a business. We tell them, okay, here's what the renewal rate needs to be. Here's what you need to do. And some tenants are just like your kids. When they talk to the owner, if they don't get the right answer from mommy, they'll go to daddy. And the property manager takes that out of the loop, so that helps. So from the investor standpoint, a lot of times it's better to have the investor do that type of stuff, the hire a management company, because we can take care of those issues.
It takes all the electricity out of the conversation, for sure.
Yeah, and I would say that was pretty interesting, as you mentioned right there, because a lot of times people, what I'm seeing in today's market, it's like anything. News drives people's desires to either buy or sell, or what their activities are, right?
Right.
And so one of the things, you're hearing a lot of news out there, inventory is extremely low, it's a seller's market, et cetera, and they get in this mind, you know what, then I can charge XYZ, or I can do this. And it gets very emotional when they don't get what they want.
Right.
And so, by using a company like yourself in regards to the management side of things, it takes that emotion out of it. I mean, it really looks at it from a business perspective. And I think sometimes individuals forget to look at it. Ultimately, it's a business. It's about cash flow. It's about profitability. It's about making money off an investment that you made.
Right, it is, and that's the big key. They have to take the emotion out of it. So that's where they get in the most trouble. We get so many calls from people that say, "I'd like you to manage my property." Okay, well, why did you call me? Well, I got a problem. and that's when we get the phone call. So we do a whole lot of problem solving.
They don't really have a house for you to manage. They really have a problem to hand off to you, is what they're telling you, right? And a house happens to go with it.
Yes, we get a lot of those calls. So.
Mike, tell us how we can get a hold of you.
The best way to get a hold of me is through my website. It's www.terraresidential.com.
And you don't take private phone calls, huh?
Oh, I take private phone calls. You can call my office, but it's easier to get through. Find me on my website.
That is terraresidential.com.
Yes.
You're going to be back to speak in our last segment that we have, but in the meantime, right now, we are coming up against a break. All those listening, remember, you can reach us for a live phone call, 800-808-5548. Call in, ask us any question you have. All these great individuals are here, but we'll take a break and we'll be right back.